Hi everyone, welcome back to RTS Scrapbooking, and what do we have on tap for today? Record the story, yes, because we are on our third installment of the Sketch Inspired series, which was created by Vanessa Bell and Lisa Brooks here on YouTube, and I will have their channels linked below. And so up this week is Vanessa's turn to pick a sketch, and she picked this sketch, which the link will be below also for the sketch, and it is from sketcheswithatwist.blogspot.com. And it was so funny because Lisa and Vanessa and I were sharing these sketches. And so Vanessa had shared this blog post, and Lisa said, yes, I was on the design team at that time. And so it was so fun to see how Lisa had made a layout, a two-page layout from this sketch from, I think it was 2012, if I believe. So that was fun. That was really fun. Happy accident. So on today's sketch, the story prompt that Vanessa gave us is the first day of school, first snowfall, first day of vacation, etc. And the technique prompt is pinwheels. Pinwheels! I don't even know the last time I used a pinwheel on anything. Maybe a cupcake topper, but that would be about it. So, and this is by Janice something Pardo. So that is the creator of this sketch. And so I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Now, Lisa always does two-page spreads, and Vanessa generally does one page. And so since with Lisa's sketch I did a two-page, on Vanessa's I'm going to do a one-page. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And then I got looking at this sketch, and I thought, well, first of all, what am I going to do? And it said first. So I saw these photos of my daughter and I playing Muppet Monopoly, which that is just a fun day in and of itself. And then it made me think, you know, as soon as she comes home for either holiday or vacation or summer or whatever, the first thing we do is plan what we're going to do while she's off, and it's usually, you know, games or movies and something. And so on this one, this time she was home, it was definitely, we played Muppet Monopoly, and we just left it lay out for a few weeks, and or maybe a week, something like that. We just left it out and kept playing with it. And on this, I thought that would be perfect for first, because one of the first things we do when she comes home is plan what fun things we're going to do. And so I thought this would be fun with Monopoly. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm also going to rotate this sketch the same as I did with Lisa's pick. And so I'm going to rotate this sketch, and so this will be my format, my title. And so what did I decide to use? I decided, since I'm doing with these Monopoly, because you know this is the beginning of every one of my processes, papers, photo, sketch, paper. It's the same thing. So once I had, this was first, then this was second, I needed to come figure out what I was going to use. And so I automatically, when I saw some of these colors, it made me think, actually it was this photo right here, it made me think of the Simple Stories travel line. And so that is exactly what I went and pulled. It was Simple Stories Urban Traveler. And so someone said, well, why are you using a travel collection on photos that has to do with a game? Well, you know, I'm all about mood and feel, right? So what is Monopoly? It's about travel. It's streets. It's direction. You know, in Muppet Monopoly, well, that takes to another whole level. Yes. So I'm using a travel line to document the story of us playing Monopoly. But Muppet Monopoly. Oh, such a fun time. Okay, so the reason is because of the color scheme, and also too, I wanted something that goes with my mood and feel. And so, you know, travel, I'm going to get any of this that's going to, it's going to work. It really is. And I have these cut aparts that I can actually cut apart and use for embellishments. So I thought some of these would be good. And then this is exactly, because I knew of Urban Traveler, this was basically one of the main motifs, this go, see, do, and those colors reminded me of that. And then also, there was something else I saw on here, because I'm trying to find something to do with streets, because that's what Monopoly is, streets and avenues, and I can cut a lot of these, honestly. These numbers, see these degrees, you can cut those out, definitely. And then those two there. I thought that arrow, that red arrow and that stripe, that would go really well. This says a travel log. I could actually use that as a background just a fun collection. This was from 2013. Yes, okay. And so this is when I saw this. Seeing the World, 12th to 7th Avenue, downtown, and good times. And I thought, I think that's going to work on my page. And so I got so excited. So excited. So I think that's going to be definitely one of my choices for my papers. And then also, this is what made me think of it. This right here. That is what made me think of this whole collection to go with this Monopoly Mood and Feel. And of course, you can always cut these out as layering, embellishments, word labels. Again, that too. And then of course I have these solid pieces of this Urban Traveler line. Oh, that'd be a nice background too. What's on the back of this red? Oh, well, I would definitely use that red. So, yes, I'm sure that's probably going to make it on there somehow. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a travel line to record the story of Monopoly. And the first thing we do when my little girl comes home for a period of time. Yes. Now, what else? Since Vanessa had said that Pinwheels was a technique prompt, I'm always trying to get these prompts in because it just gives you direction. So I knew I only basically had about one pinwheel, and this was it. This is from Dear Lizzie. And I honestly don't know. Is this an embellishment on top of an embellishment? There's no way that pinwheel or that embellishment, I know it's supposed to be 3D, but dang, that's some serious layering. And then a brand on top of it? Yeah, I don't know. I like lump and bump, but that's a lot even for me. So, that is the pinwheel I have. So, I'm definitely going to use that as inspiration. And if that doesn't work, maybe I'll pull out some things and I'll make one my own. And so then I have these other embellishments for the arrow. And these were from Michael's. And there's another arrow. And I thought that would be good. And then I was chuckling to myself because I saw those arrows. And then I saw that little bird. And I thought, boy, he's singing like a canary. And I thought, oh, yeah, jailbird. Because yours truly, if I can find the photo, I ended up in jail so many times on that game. It was actually freaky how many times I landed in jail. So, yes. So, when I saw that, when I actually saw that, I thought, yeah, singing like a canary, jailbird. So, I am going to put that little jailbird. It's all about mood and feel, right? So, then, of course, I saw these colors. And this actually says games. That is perfect. Adventures. But the color scheme is what I went for, just to see games. That was even fun. And then what else did I see? It said, what? I thought, yes, that would be good. Because I ended up in jail so many times. I should have played the lottery that day. Because I was so unlucky by going to jail. I mean, it was just crazy. I lost track after 7 times. I landed in jail on one game. Okay, so those were the things I picked to play with this. And so this is what I do when I don't really have a kit that I'm playing with. I just pull a collection and then I just pull a few other things because, I'll just use my color bins. And speaking of my color bins, that video should be up by now. Speaking of those color bins and organizing embellishments, I will link it below. There's a lot of info in there about organizing embellishments. A lot of different choices. So, okay, I will be back with my final and finished page based on Vanessa's sketch of this wonderful sketch, and I'm definitely going to flip it. And you could flip this 4 different ways. There is no wrong way to do that sketch. I told you she picked a good one. Yes. Okay, so I will be back with my finished Muppet Monopoly page. Okay. Okay, I'm back with my finished page, and I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. So glad that Vanessa picked this sketch because it worked well for my photos. Now, here is the sketch that Vanessa picked out, and the link will be below for that. And so then what I decided to do was rotate it, okay? And you'll see, even though I rotated it, I still moved some elements around to fit my photos and my style, because that's what the beauty of a sketch is. So what I did was I put that banner in the middle, just like the sketch showed, and then instead of using something that was pre-cut, like a border strip, I took an actual piece of paper and made it was about a 1-inch strip, and then I used a border sticker from that same collection to make that. And that really, if you take everything else away, that is the background design. Now, they had a mat on top of a mat, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So, for some of you gals that say that it's hard to look at a sketch and see the background, take away the photos, take away the embellishments, and what do you have? You have a piece of paper with about a 4-inch long piece of paper, and then 2 border stickers. Or strips, however you want to do it. And that's exactly what this is. Now, the reason it doesn't look that simple, it's because of all the colors. So take away this, what do you see? It's just 3 pieces of paper on top of a piece of paper. That's all it is. Simple, simple, simple. That's why I'm saying go by sketches, because there's no sense sitting down each time and reinventing the wheel when you can get right to starting a page, okay? So that is all that is, okay? And that's one of those basic go-to designs. But now if you saw it when in Vanessa's orientation with the way the sketches, it goes vertically. I wanted to go horizontally because for me that feels better, and it went better with my photos because I had a 4x6 photo here. So what I did was, how many photos did the sketch show? 1, 2, 3, but you get more on there. And I have 5 because that's what I wanted to have. And I did cut my photos down a tad and I matted them because that's what I seem to do. And then I put my background on top of a black mat. Now, why did I go this way? Because if you look at the game board, it has a black mat. And so sometimes if you don't know what to do or you don't know how to make a decisions between your paper choices, look what's in your photos. Take a cue from actually the design, not just your mood and feel, but also a design. In this photo, you can see the Monopoly board has a black border. So why not give this a black border? Yes, that's how you can do that. Yes, let someone else do the work. Okay, now for Vanessa's technique prompt, she had pinwheels. And I showed you this lonely little pinwheel that I had from the Dear Lizzie collection. It came with all these other layered embellishments. And, well, this blue just wasn't going to cut it. All this thick layers wasn't going to cut it. So I just disassembled it. And that was one of those things I had on my notes. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But really, what is a pinwheel? It's about a 2-inch piece of paper with 4 cuts. And I'm going to show you exactly how I made my pinwheels. Because it's just a 2-inch piece of paper. Okay, now I'm going to move this just for a tad. Okay, so 2-inch piece of paper. 2 by 2 square. Okay, now they have that foam dot on the back, which, like I said, was part of this hunk of mega. I mean, they got 3 foam dots and a braid. That's lump and bump. Yeah. Okay, so this is a 2 by 2 square. And so what you do is just start in the corner, and I like long blade scissors for this. And so you're going to go kind of visualize. If you need to, you can put a pencil mark. Do I have a pencil? Yes, yes. You can put a pencil mark in and around about the area that you think is the center. And then what you're going to do is you're simply going to take your blade and you're going to start in that very, very corner right there. And you're going to cut almost to that circle in the middle. Don't go too far up. Okay, see right there's the circle and there's the end of my cut. Okay, and you're just going to repeat in all 4 corners. Now I'm a left-handed person, and I will tell you, cutting for a left-handed person is like crossing the Nile River in a spoon. Yes, it's difficult, but that's all it is. It's 4 cuts. Okay, so then what do? You'll take one of these points and you'll bring it over and you'll just try to get a straight edge up to that little dot. Okay, now this doesn't have to be perfect, and you'll see on mine they're not perfect. So again, you skip that one, go to the next one. You're taking this point, okay, and you're going to take it so that you're making this edge right here as straight as you can. And sometimes it doesn't exactly get to be. See how that's a nice crisp corner? And what I say is, when you're learning something like this, get a piece of scrap. Okay, I'm left-handed, so everything's always a little backwards for me. And I'll show you something in just a minute. Okay, get a piece of scrap paper and try it out first, and then work with the paper that you want. Okay, so again, I'm taking every other of that corner, that triangle. What's an angle? Not a triangle. And then you're making a sharp crease with the edge of that paper, getting as close to that dot as you can. And you see, not all mine match up, and I'll bring this a little closer. If you look, see how all mine don't match up? Let me see. See how they don't match up? Do not be concerned, because you're going to put something in the middle of that anyways, either a sticker or a braid. In their case, they had one of these adhesive braids. Okay, so don't worry about them meeting up. Just worry about getting that crease right there. Every time you do that fold, get that little bit of a crease, okay? It is one of the most most simple embellishments you can make, because what do you have? I have a 2x2, okay? That's just the size that seems to fit well for me on a 12x12 layout, and then you do 4 cuts, 4 folds. I mean, easy peasy lemon squeezy, okay? And then you take a honkin' bread, okay? It doesn't matter if that meets up or not, okay? So simple. Now, I will say, when you're doing a pinwheel, of course, you know, you'd want double-sided paper. Yes, okay? That is how you simply do do a pinwheel. And I'm so glad that Vanessa had put that on her technique prompt, because I haven't done them in a long, I bet it's been a couple years since I've made a pinwheel. So easy to do. And I will tell you, this is an easy embellishment if you want to do tags, cards, cupcake toppers. Such an easy thing to do, because you can put that on a toothpick, bing bang boom, you're done. Okay, so that is the pinwheel that I did. Now, I have seen other people get very creative with border punches and things like that. I haven't went that far. I just do a 2-inch square, 4 cuts, 4 corners, I'm good. So this is my pinwheel here, and then I have a pinwheel here. Now, what I did for my pinwheel, as when I did that, is then I took stickers, and I'll find one, because they were October afternoon stickers. And I just took a sticker, layered that over top, you know, centered it in there. And then I just took a word sticker. Say this is a word sticker. And put that right there. And isn't that a cute little embellishment? So that's what I did with all mine. Now, I didn't put any foam tape on this one. This one I did. Okay? So all that is that pinwheel with a sticker and a sticker. That's it. Okay, and so that was the beginning of one cluster, and then I used a pinwheel for my other cluster. And then you'd say, well, where's your other third pinwheel? I didn't want to do 3 because I wanted to do the 75, 50, and 25 rule. So you'll see this is my 75% of a cluster, my 50 cluster, and my 25. So I didn't have a pinwheel. I had one here and one here, but not one there. So how did I represent that? You see how these pinwheels, I took my corners and I bent them up a tad, okay? And I'll tell you why you do that in just a minute. See how I bent those up a little bit? So then what I did was, on the sketch, it showed these banner pieces, okay? And so I thought, that's what I'll do. I'll just put my banner pieces there, and I just bent up the corners to give me the representation of a pinwheel, even though I didn't put one in there. Does that make sense? Now, the reason I wanted to say about those pinwheels, and I'm looking at my notes here, is because when you bend up, okay, let me get my example here. I feel like I'm all over the place. Sorry. You know, I just get excited, and then you add in caffeine. So I'm caffeine excited. So when you do a pinwheel such as this, and you bend up the corners, and you just take your finger and just bend them up, okay? And so why would you want to do that on a pinwheel? Because a pinwheel in real life, you know, it has movement, okay? So on your page, you can't have movement. I mean, you can make things interactive, but, you know, when things go in a page protector, it's kind of hard to have an interactive element. So I don't really do that very often, okay? Because when I put my puppy in a page protector, I want it staying there. Yes. Okay, so you bend up those corners for movement. Okay, that's why you do that, okay? Because in real life, pinwheels would have movement, okay? Same way with these banners. I put in these bent corners to represent the same symbol as a pinwheel, and then, of course, give it to movement, because in real life, when you see a banner on a flagpole or a flag on a flagpole, it has movement. And so that's why you do the bent corners on any type of embellishment that you want to represent movement, okay? If all of that made sense, I think it did. Okay. So what I did was I titled my layout Jailbird because of me landing in jail so many times. And then, of course, I included that singing bird. And then all my elements that's in my clusters has to do either with color or mood and feel. So if you look at my top cluster here, you'll see a house. Why? Because you buy those little houses and buildings when you're playing Monopoly. And of course I have arrows because, you know, it's a game. You're always going in directions. There's even arrows on the game board. And then of course the word games, and then the word play, and then these dice, because you roll the dice, okay? And so I wanted to say I didn't have any dice in my embellishments. And this is just a Kaiser Craft die cut. And you'll say, well, then how did you have those? Because they're really dominoes. So even though you don't have dice in your stash of embellishments, your ephemera pieces, things like that, you would say, well, there's dominoes, but if you cut them in half, they represent dice. Okay, that's how one way you can get around that. So the reason I wanted to bring that up was, just because an embellishment is made in the manner that it is, doesn't mean you have to use it in that. For example, this is a domino. I don't have to use it as a domino. I can use it as dice, okay? This layered chipboard. Some of this is pretty thick, okay? I wanted some of those pieces on there, but I didn't want that. So what did I do? I tore them apart. See, this had an arrow on top, okay? And so that's what layered chipboard is. It's chipboard piece on top of another chipboard. So you can always rip off that top layer if you don't want that. Okay, I didn't want that dimension. I just wanted that top arrow. So don't be afraid to tear your embellishments apart. Okay, and use them in the manner you want. Say, for example, say you wanted to use this globe, but you didn't want that white background. That's okay. You know what you can do? Take this off, because usually with chipboard, look how simple that was. It's just separated by foam tape. That's all layered chipboard really is. Okay, so you could use that, take off that foam tape, and then you'd have a flatter. It's still chipboard, but it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be a honking embellishment every time. So don't be afraid to disassemble your pre-made embellishments. And I also wanted to say that because with that, not only did I disassemble some of these chipboard pieces, I also, to get this 7th Avenue to look like a directional flag, what I did is I took this, because actually this piece here was going to be in my middle. It just didn't work for my design. And so what I did was I took that 7th and 12th and I made banners out of them. That's exactly what I did, because I just used my hexagon punch, you know, cut them down, and then just make banners. So that looks like it's a pre-made embellishment. And honestly, it just came from that cut apart. You know, that border. What do you call them? Those bigger border strips. Okay. So, because you know, Simple Stories is known for having these bigger pieces. If I can find one. Here they are. See how these have these bigger pieces? Sometimes I struggle with that. But now, because over the last few years since I've watched Laura Whitaker videos, she showed how many times she would just take stuff and cut it apart. And so I was like, yes, okay. So this is paper, but consider this as embellishment. You can cut all these apart. Yes. Okay, that was probably a little bit of a bunny trail, but that was what I wanted to say. Look at your embellishments in a different manner as the way they were made. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, what else is on my notes? Okay. So, I think that was it. Disassemble embellishments. Use the cut-aparts and words to make your own embellishments. Just add a flag tail on that. Oh, this was the other thing too. This orange banner here was just a part of that cut-aparts. See, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just used the color I wanted, and I put that in there. And I just took my hexagon punch, and as easy peasy as anything. See, you can make your own. Yes, because sometimes I struggle with those. But when you can use them and make your own embellishments to fit your style, I use a lot of banner pieces. That's one way to do it. Absolutely. Okay, I think that was it. Other than one more thing. You'd say, okay, well, where's your journaling? Yeah, where is my journaling? Yes. My journaling, as I was doing this, because again, here's my 75, here's my 50 cluster, here's my 25. I originally thought, okay, I'll just do my journaling here. Well, that's the downfall for me when I am building a page and I do my journaling last. The downfall is that when you get the page design you want, and then you sit down to journal, because for me, journaling is a lot easier for me if I do it at the end, because as I'm creating the page, I'm reliving all this. So all those things are fresh. So when I sit down to type, everything comes out pretty fast, okay? The downfall is that when you have a lot more to say, aka right here, than I thought I was going to, okay? And so my original plan was here, or maybe a few here. Well, when I sat down, I had a lot more. So if that happens to you, and I will not switch up the way I do my journaling, it just is easier for me to be able, because some people struggle in that category, you know, how to say what you want to say. Some people struggle with that. You know, you can tell from watching my videos, I'm never have a shortage of words. So journaling is not a struggle for me. But I would tell people when I taught classes, if journaling is a struggle for you, maybe do the page and then do your journaling last. The only downfall is you run out of space if you don't pre-plan. Okay? You have to have an idea. So as I'm doing this page, in my mind, I'm thinking about what I want to say, how much I want to say, and where I'm going to put it. Okay? And I thought, oh, this is going to go up here. But then I knew, as I was on my page, if I didn't have enough room, I could always go up here, and I knew I had this down here. And so that is what it ran into, and this is where my journaling is going to go, because I had a lot more to say than I thought. Okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to say is when it comes to journaling, think of it this way. Stories, the photo is important, but journaling is almost sometimes just a tad more important than the photos. And you would say, well, why? Because you can look at a photo and it tells 1,000 words. However, for me, I think long-term a lot. You know, that's just me. I think in the future, I think long-term. And I think someday when I can't scrap and maybe I can't see to read or even see the photos, someone can read to me, okay? And it would be easier for someone to read my journaling than to say, oh, well, you have a picture here of this and you have a picture of that, okay? That's why I think sometimes journaling is just almost or even a tad more important than your photos when you're recording the story, okay? So what I wanted to say with that, when you're doing a page, if there is a photo in your layout that actually says what you're doing, in case, if you look at this top photo up here, it has Muppet Monopoly and Muppets, okay? So don't use that for a title because it's already represented here, okay? So think about something or an adjective that happened when you were doing what the event is. And so that's why I use jailbird, because first of all, it's catchy, and second of all, everybody already knows when you play Monopoly, someone's going to end up in jail, okay? And so that's why I called it jailbird, because that was part of why I remembered all this, because I landed in jail so many times. And so then there's no sense putting Monopoly or Muppets in my title when it's already represented here, okay? And then it's also going to be represented in my journaling. So you don't need to have it in 3 places: photo, title, and journaling. It doesn't need to be in 3 places. So be a little clever with your titles, and then that draws the people in to read it. Okay, and then also too, when you're doing your journaling, use the mood and feel from Muppet Monopoly and mention the words jail, pass go, you know, Kermit the Frog, Gonzo. You know what I'm saying? Get all those elements in when you're telling a story. Okay, that was probably a little bit of a rabbit tail, but that was a struggle when I was teaching classes for people. Journaling was a huge struggle, okay? Now, I saw that Allison Davis from Scrapbook Generations just came out with a huge, actually, I think overwhelming book for journaling and that type of thing. I haven't got to see it because I'm on a spending freeze, so it just isn't going to happen this year. I just, you know, unless Santa brings it and puts it under my tree, it's not going to happen, so I'm not even going to see it. But if you struggle with journaling, I would suggest go look at that. I think it's around $40 if you're not on a spending freeze. But if you are on a spending freeze and you want to work on journaling this year and titles, take a cue from your photos and your actual story, okay? And put in some of the key words that happens when you play Monopoly, okay? So that was another rabbit hole, but something I wanted to say, because it doesn't just have to be, we played Monopoly this afternoon and had fun. No, it can be way more than that when you're recording the story. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to thank Vanessa and Lisa both for asking me to join in on the sketch-inspired series. I loved it. Loved the first round they did, and I just love my pages. That was a result. And then when they asked me to join this round, well, I was just probably squealed. I was so happy. Yes. So I think that's all I have for this page. If you have any questions about anything, you know, just leave it in the comment section below. And then also too, the links for Lisa and Vanessa's channel will be listed below. And thanks for stopping in on the Sketch Inspired series with Lisa and Vanessa and myself. And come back to RTS, because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye!